Hey gang, Kevin here, Life22, and so another one for today. So we did the review of those nice socks earlier. Oh, they're so comfortable. I am catching up on a whole list of podcasts that I have to do. A whole series of them are books that I finished, and this one is a two-parter. So I'm reviewing The Old Man and the Sea today. And then Miley read it. And the only reason that I actually got a chance to just like sit down was because it was, first off, it was like a 2.5 hour listen. But Miley was like complaining that she had to read The Old Man and the Sea for school and how it was a stupid book. And I said, well, I'll join you. And so I went on and listened to it. And so what we're going to do with this one is I'm going to review The Old Man and the Sea. And then I am going to, do another podcast hopefully tomorrow and do a one-on-one with Miley and discuss her thoughts about it, and then we can have a nice little dialogue discussion on The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. So I liked this one, I like this version too because it was read by Donald Sutherland, so it was very fitting to just the theme of the book, right? Like, it's an old man who goes out fishing, right? So essentially he's a stubborn son of a bitch, and he perseveres through a storm. They introduce like this young boy who's a fisherman, but he goes out with the other fishing troops because they catch more than the old man, but the young boy is still like kind of like, man, I'm kind of worried about this old man. I feel bad for him. There's a lot of pity. They have some basic discussion about Joe DiMaggio. And it's just a really interesting book. It's a brief version, because it related to me. It was very relatable to, Herman Melville's Moby Dick, right? It was just, except that was like 20, 30 hour listen, like Jesus H. So, but it had a lot of aspects that makes you question, the way you do things, right? And that's what a lot of this stuff does. Anyways, a good story, good characters, they're relatable, right? And I feel like an English teacher harping at you, but a good character is relatable. And then sometimes you tell a story and you don't know why people like it so much. And it's because it speaks to them on some level that they are already like grappling with, right? So like, we're all going to grapple with being an old man and having skills, but our bodies get old and we just do it anyways, and we persevere and don't die at our deathbed, right? So like, spoiler alert, the old man goes out fishing and he catches a monstrous fish, and like, he's trying to pull the thing in, his hands are bleeding, and he's like, his ship is beat to hell, and there's storms, and then the sharks are like chewing at him, and like they eat his fish, and they like he's like almost dead as he rolls up on shore holding the carcass of this ginormous fish. And it's just like, but he lives, and everyone's kind of worried about him at the end, and it's one of those, like, it's a good story about perseverance. So if we just kind of quickly go through here, where are we? I had to use the tablet app because, is there chapters to this? Title details? There's nothing. Of course not. I had to use the app. Oh, there it is. I had to use the app, on the tablet because apparently my desktop does not have what it takes to run Windows 11, and if it doesn't have Windows 11, then it won't play the Audible app, and this, so it wouldn't load the library. I don't know, some stupid crap. So I had to use the iPad, and yeah, there's 3 chapters. There's 3 chapters. They don't have titles. It's just chapter 1, 2, and 3, 50 minutes, 47 minutes, and another 50 minutes. I mean, it's an easy read. It's an American classic. And so just doing a little bit of like side research here into seeing maybe somebody else brought about something that maybe I didn't see already. No, pretty much it. Perseverance despite any obstacles or adversity, the moral lesson impaired in the old man in the sea. Santiago never gives up, even when he can't pull in his catch and the sharks start attacking him and they eat his fish. So there's a lot of those. Now, there was something that I saw here. Through the struggles, he demonstrates the ability of the human spirit to endure hardship and suffering in order to win. Right? Okay, so that's a nice one. But here's what I kind of just caught this glimpse of what somebody. Why is the old man in the sea so famous? And this kind of stuck with me for a minute. Right? Is the historical significance of Hemingway's The Old Man in the Sea is that it was the last published work of the Nobel Prize-winning author before he took his own life. And then The Old Man in the Sea won a Pulitzer Prize in 1952. You can say that, artists don't truly become famous until after they die, or they become even more famous after they die. Who was it? Vincent van Gogh. He wasn't famous at all until he died. I think it was Van Gogh. And it's just like a whole bunch of, and so maybe he became more famous because he died or took his own life. But there is something to be said about the story itself, right? He was the old man that got eaten by sharks, right? And sharks can symbolize a lot of different things. They could be chaos. They can be nature. They could be primitive intensity. There's a lot of different things. Some obstacle or some adversity that you have to overcome. And Hemingway, unlike Santiago, was unable to overcome the issues and adversity, and he died. He took his own life. He could not beat them. He felt that the only way out was death, and not overcome and not win. And that kind of sticks with you, right? Like, this guy writes a story about like overcoming in the face of adversity, and it's the last work he does before he kills himself. Like, that is deep, man. That is deep. It's hard to wrap your head around that. And like, he sometimes, like, following your own advice, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people say, like, oh, well, like, they'll give you advice, but they won't be doing it themselves. Like, you should quit smoking cigarettes as they're smoking a cigarette. Like, why can't you stop smoking a cigarette? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, things. It's kind of, it's something to grapple with in and of itself. In addition to that story, is that it's the last published work of a man who killed himself, who wrote about persevering in the face of adversity. Like, something adverse happened to him and he could not persevere, but he wrote a big story about it. Like, just something to chew on, I guess. But overall, it was a good book. It had some life lessons. It was one of those things that, like, you listen to it and you might not pull all of them out of it. And then, just like, I use this one a lot. Crime and Punishment did that to me. I was like, oh, this is so dumb. Moby Dick did it to me. This is so dumb. Why did I listen to this? And then, like, months later, you start, like, popping in archetypes of different characters that you were able to relate to on a subconscious level. And it's like, I can see that. I can do that. And it helps build that arsenal for you to overcome adversity by using just little cues that Santiago used, or, maybe it's something that you can kind of relate to, just so you can help persevere in the moment. And I don't know. There's something to be said about literature that is deeper than you and I. So, with that said, guys, hope you like this quick review of The Old Man in the Sea, at least my thoughts on it. And keep an eye out for, hopefully tomorrow, I can drag Miley into the studio and we can have a one-on-one discussion about The Old Man in the Sea. So we'll see you guys here soon with something else from my list.